Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle, once again, he'll be back shortly. But we got Jeffrey the Greek and Dustin Schutte with us. Let's go ahead and jump into this Indiana-Michigan homecoming game. Obviously, you guys had your preview on the Eyes on Big podcast. Excuse me. We have This Week in Indiana football podcast that already came out earlier this week. But let's just go ahead and combine all these takes. So, Jeffrey, what are your kind of initial thoughts after everything that's transpired with Indiana in these last couple of weeks? How do you see this game going down?
You know, I really feel like the offensive coordinator is doing good work over there, and I've probably already said it on this show. I know I've said it on the pod. I'm really kind of stealing off of Jerry DiNardo. So like, they're doing all they can to get what they can out of the offense. The offensive line is on the struggle bus. I think that's pretty fair to say. And the defense, it looked a little bit better last week. I mean, they did a pretty good job shutting down Nebraska's rushing attack on the road. And you got to think that Tom Allen is going to relentlessly push at the defense to see improvements, because that's a reflection right on him. So all of that stuff, I think there's some positives there, but tough scene, Michigan coming into town. I do think I could see a potential kind of sluggish start with the early kickoff, but at some point, I feel like Michigan just has so many weapons, and I think you're going to need a near perfect game from Bazelak in order to keep Indiana in the game. And he's impressed me. I feel like I like Bazelak more than a lot of Indiana fans, maybe. But there's just so much pressure on him to be just like basically flawless tomorrow.
I just spilled chili all over myself.
As Jim comes back spilling his chili, the biggest issue with Bazelak, I think there's two things. Part of it's his issue, and part of it is the offensive line. Obviously, for some reason, Tom Allen made the comment earlier this week that he thinks the offensive line looks better. I mean, I guess it can't get any worse, so I don't really know what he sees there. But at the same time, the problem with Bazelak, I think if there's one thing that he specifically needs to work on, he overthrows receivers way too much. I don't know if that's just because he has such a cannon of an arm and he's not thinking about where his receivers are actually going to be. But the biggest flaw for him, other than what the offensive line has caused, is that he just overthrows way too many receivers.
Yeah, he's hitting on just over 50% of his passes. And when you're throwing as many passes as Indiana is, it can't be 50%. Now, if they were at 60%, they'd be having some success with as much as they throw the ball. But again, part of the reason they throw the ball that much is because they simply cannot run the ball. And when you're going up against a team like Michigan, who is going to have a superior offensive line, a superior defensive line, it's almost game over right there. What in the world is Indiana going to do with that? Is the biggest
Michigan's offensive line is ridiculous. It's elite. It might be the best O-line in the country. The front seven's okay. It's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not fantastic. So maybe there's enough there where Indiana can move the ball a little bit. And Dustin, I screwed up my prediction. I have Michigan covering in that game with you. I had two different sheets and I screwed up when I transferred it over. So I've actually got Michigan 45, Indiana 17 in this game. So I've got a Michigan cover. So I was actually agreeing with you in my brain on the pod, but the words coming out of my mouth were wrong. So anyway, my bad.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right. So final prediction. We got to get to a final prediction so we can get through these games. Final prediction on Indiana and Michigan.
Yeah, 45-17 for me.
On my end, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say mine was 53-10 in favor of Michigan.
I had 47-10.
Wow.
There we go.
Okay.
But part of that is because, Greek, you missed it earlier. I need Michigan to score 58 points.
Exactly
58 points.
I have them in two different parlays in which I got them at under 58 and over 58.
Well, there's a guy There was a guy
I
on
took the
Twitter
under
last.
on one and the over in another.
Okay. There was a guy on Twitter last night that right before that NFL game started, he tweeted out, "Is everybody going to enjoy this 12-9 football game?" And that's
Oh
exactly what
my!
the score
wow.
was. So he got
Hey,
Twitter famous last night. So
Any
maybe you
idea
can do
what the
the
over
same.
under on that game was?
It was well under 21. I can tell you that
Yes,
much.
I was lamenting. I'm like, oh my god, I wish I would have jumped on that. Okay, so Nebraska at Rutgers. Nebraska is
Weird.
-3.
Yeah.
I'm going. Um, I'm going to go with Rutgers, man. Um, I think they win by, I don't know, 33-27.
Okay. I don't have that many points. I think both defenses are going to play pretty well. I think Nebraska's offense is going to be kind of sluggish on a short week Friday night. So I got Nebraska 23, Rutgers 21. So that's a Rutgers cover, but you could switch the teams and keep the score, and I would feel just as good about it.
Purdue, Maryland,
ahead.
or no, Dustin, when you get yours.
I was going to say I don't have. I had to bring up my Google Doc here. I had Rutgers 27, Nebraska 23.
So yeah, so we're not on the Nebraska hype train yet. Now here's another intriguing game: Purdue at Maryland. Purdue went on the road last week and beat the team I thought was the best in the West. They are a 3-point underdog on the road at Maryland. I still don't think that. I think Maryland and Tagliabue is going to take care of business. Or whatever.
Yep. I can see it. This probably is the most intriguing game on the docket. Love that we start the day with this game at noon your time on Saturday. I mean, I like Dustin and I were talking about. I feel like every possibility is on the table where either team could win in a blowout or either team could win in a close game. I tend to believe the least favorite one would be that Purdue would get blown out. Why? Because I think Purdue definitely has the better defense in this game. Help me out with the cornerback, Dustin. Ivy or who's the really good cornerback for Purdue? I can't think of his name right now.
Aiden O'Connell?
No, cornerback on defense.
There's Corey Trice.
Trice, thank you. Trice he's playing at an all Big Ten level right now. So I don't know. Like I've gone back and forth with this one, but like if I really break it down on a brass tacks way, I just think they both have good offenses, but Purdue has a good defense. So I'm going to go Purdue 28, Maryland 27, but I can't wait to see how it goes.
Absolutely. Then we move on to Wisconsin. Another interesting game, to be honest with you. Wisconsin, Northwestern. Wisconsin is a 10.5-point favorite. I don't know that they get that done. I think Northwestern rears up and stays close enough to get inside that spread. I'm taking Northwestern.
Yeah, I took Northwestern and the points on this because I think I just think there's too many question marks about Wisconsin. They've looked sloppy. How are you going to respond to a new coach? It could be really good. I mean, Wisconsin could come out of the gates firing and run away with this. I just don't think that's going to be the case. So I think Wisconsin still wins, but I think that I think Northwestern keeps it close. And I had Wisconsin 24, Northwestern 17, so a 7-point game. Well inside that 10-point spread.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are bringing up great. You guys are bringing up great points. Chappie, he's a great college football follow on Twitter, Northwestern fan. He's very proud to point out that I think Northwestern has won 5 of the last 6 versus Wisconsin at home on Ryan Field. Yeah, it's remember when you were talking about the sleepy Ryan Field, you know, like I think you kind of had that effect and that's, going back 12, 13 years. That's a lot of good Wisconsin teams that came into Ryan Field and walked out with an L. But man, this is a bad Northwestern team. And maybe maybe I'm not romanticizing this game enough, and I think maybe you guys are, which could be the correct thing, which is all of the things that are out there. But Northwestern is just so bad defensively stopping the run. And I know Wisconsin looked bad last week, but that was Illinois.
Right.
I think you're going to get an angry, embarrassed Wisconsin team that is going to shove Braylon Allen down Northwestern's throat. So I've got Wisconsin 27, Northwestern 13.
Let's see. Ohio State, Michigan State, 27-point favorite. Ohio State, I think they cover easily. Michigan State is not what I thought that they were, and Ohio State needs to keep getting better and putting more points on the board.
Yeah, the only thing you got here, and when I say only, this is really the only thing I can come up with is that this is the first road trip for Ohio State. But that tends to have more of an effect with a younger quarterback, younger team. I don't think it affects the defense too much, which has been playing well. CJ Stroud is the way they made Michigan State look last year, and that was a better Michigan State team than this, and this might be a better Ohio State team than last year. So it's just hard for me to see what the angles are for Michigan State. They're not even getting at the quarterback and forcing turnovers, like maybe that's something you can hang a hat on, but I've already got this bet in. This was my Amador lock of the week. I've got Ohio State 49, Michigan State 14.
Yep, similar thing. Michigan State's defense is awful. Their offense is not nearly as explosive as it was a year ago. Mel Tucker has been outscored 109 or 108 to 19 in his 2 games against Ohio State. So I think Ohio State cruises. I don't know that I actually have Michigan State slightly covering. I had Ohio State 47, Michigan State 21 because I think they get a few junk touchdowns towards the end. Backdoor cover.
Yeah, we can't talk long about this one because we already have. But did you already give your score on that one?
For which one?
Ohio State.
Yep.
Iowa, Illinois. We can't spend a lot of time on what we already have. I'm going to go with Illinois because of the upset. I think Lima just has them believing. They've recovered since losing to Indiana. If they hadn't lost to Indiana, that would have really set them on a great path. But we'll see. It's a coin toss for me, to be honest with you. And it's only because Iowa is just not shown to be that Iowa team of normal with everything kind of clicking, and the offense is just not there quite. So we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of break this down like the Maryland Purdue game where it's just the opposite. Both teams have great defenses, but Illinois has a pretty darn good offense and Iowa doesn't. And now you got Iowa going on the road after a tough loss versus Michigan. So to me, it's too obvious to me that Illinois is just more of a complete team. So I've got Illinois 20, Iowa 18, but that is an Iowa cover in the game.